Some really very useful information. I would like to turn it over to Alan Jones. He's with the Metropolitan Knoxville Airport Authority.
Good morning. It's my privilege this morning to introduce Victor C. Tyler, our next speaker. Mr. Tyler is president and principal engineer of Tyler Construction Engineers, PC, located in Nashville, Tennessee. His firm provides construction cost management consultant services to engineering and construction industry businesses. He is an author, consultant, and a registered professional engineer in the state of Tennessee with more than 25 years of civil engineering design and construction experience. Mr. Tyler is an advisor to business owners throughout the southeastern region. He has successfully implemented construction cost and pricing programs for small and specialty contractors in the heavy highway and infrastructure markets. He is called upon by business owners to provide support solutions to improve project cash flow and long-term profitability. In 2010, Mr. Tyler wrote and published the study guidebook, How to Estimate Road Construction Accurately. The book was specifically written for small contractors in the heavy highway and infrastructure markets. He has also presented many workshops and seminars on construction business, project management, scheduling, and cost estimating. He is currently developing a web-based construction software application to assist small contractors to accurately capture project costs for bidding construction work. Mr. Tyler is a frequent speaker on construction and business topics for state DOT agencies, local and state small business development programs, and higher education institutions. Mr. Tyler holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering and a Master of Science in Engineering Management from the University of Tennessee. His past employment includes positions with the Tennessee Department of Transportation, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and University of Tennessee Center for Industrial Services. He served 8 years as one of the 9 appointed commissioners on the Metro Nashville-Davidson County Planning Commission. He is currently serving on the External Board of Advisors for the University of Tennessee Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering. He is Chapter Honor member of the Chi Epsilon National Civil Engineering Honor Society and is a member of several professional engineering associations such as American Society of Civil Engineers, National Society of Professional Engineers, and Tennessee Road Builders Association. I guess the best thing I can say about Victor is that I've attended several of his workshops. His company provides supportive services for the Tennessee Department of Transportation for the small businesses, particularly the disadvantaged business enterprises. So if you get an opportunity, make sure that you attend his workshops because his group consists of professionals in business accounting and marketing. Curtis Webb is here representing marketing and other areas, and they have the ability of taking a small upstart business and teaching them the fundamentals of the business to help them increase capacity. I highly recommend them. So without further delay, I introduce to you Victor Tyler.
Thank you, Alan. Good morning.
Good morning.
I know every time I talk about estimating, especially to a group of contractors, most of them eyes roll back in the head and say, I already know how to estimate. How many people already know how to estimate? How to estimate well? Just raise your hand, please. Okay. The rest of you do not know how to estimate? Or you don't want anyone to know how you estimate so you can have a competitive advantage, right? All right. I'm going to just briefly go over some things that that talks about best practices. One of the advantages that I have that other estimators do not have, I've gotten out of the bidding market and started teaching contractors to bid and bid competitively and to win profitable contracts. So I had the opportunity to see over 100 different types of estimating styles. And I have combined all that together into a best practices of teaching other contractors to bid competitively and win. And not only construction, but you can do this in any business, especially if you put together your template and we'll go through and be competitive in what you're doing. But before I start that, I just want to talk about construction. For those that are in construction, just those that are not in construction, just bear with me for a little bit and just kind of go through this. How time is spent in construction, and we're looking for opportunities for improvement. 64% of your time on a construction project is installation. 36% is doing other things. So planning is a very, very important part of the construction process, as well as other things. Other activities such as site movement, material, logistics, responds to the 36%. If you look at an average construction day, you see that the actual installation is 64%. And the other time is looking at the plans, procuring materials, receiving and storage material, mobilizing around the site movement, layout, cleanup, whatnot. So this makes up an 8-hour day. So 5 of those 8 hours is actually installing. If we look at it, a month of 176 man hours, we see that 112 hours is actually installation. This becomes very important when you start talking about estimating and talking about costs. And the same thing can happen in the office. You have a task to be done in an office, and what do you have? You have coffee breaks. You have people congregating around the water cooler. You have restroom breaks, cigarette breaks. Now cigarette breaks go outside, so that's more time expended in doing non-productive work. So for one employee, approximately 63 hours per month is spent on activities other than actual installation. Approximately 760 hours per year for that one employee. Now that's important because when you're talking about construction or talking about any type of work that requires a time function, this is very important in figuring your costs. If you have 4 full-time field employees paid at $15 an hour, that's $46,000 a year of them doing other things other than installation. If they were more productive, what could you do with $45,000 a year? Another employee, a vacation home, well, you know, whatever you want to do with that savings. So that's why I talk about productivity in the estimating process, both for field employees and equipment. So when we talk about estimating, we're talking about using actual and accurate rates, and that's rates of productivity, and trying to reduce the idle time in the field. Is that true?
Yes.
Yes, somebody said. So let's talk about this. So we want, in developing a strategy, the strategy is estimating accurate job costs and bidding on only profitable jobs and making profit on every job that you win. He said, how do I bid on profitable jobs? Well, the job of every estimator is to help his or her firm acquire profitable work. Thus, the top priority of the estimator is to estimate accurate job costs, and it starts with the job cost estimate. So our strategy for cost. Organize and document your data. And that's just like reading the reading the RFP, reading the proposal document. Be detailed and factual. Base your estimate on historical data that you have. Use predictable, measurable, and repeatable processes, and that's checklists, templates, or software. The thing about software that I come across is that not every business can use software. Software is good, but you got to make sure the software fits your company. The other thing about software is the software that's on the market, you buy it, you still have to customize it to the way you operate. So the rule of thumb is whatever the software costs, you're probably going to spend 3 times that amount to customize it. So if the software costs $10,000, expect to spend $30,000 in manpower in customizing that piece of software to the way you do business, inputting your costs, not the cost of somebody else or the cost of the software, but your costs. So there's some time to be dedicated to that process. And always monitor your progress and make adjustments as required. This is the part that I spend a lot of time with my clients in looking at knowing and understanding your costs. And it starts with this: labor, material, equipment, subcontractor, and job site overhead. And some people call it job site overhead. Some folks might say general conditions. It doesn't matter what you call it, it's the same thing on the way you use it. Here's another statement. Go back. Make the estimate comparable to the P&L statement. Make it comparable to your profit and loss statement. Because if you look at whether it's a construction project or it's a design project, it's a P&L statement as well. And we'll look at that. And then here's one principle here. Cost first, then price. Get your cost first, then price. A lot of my clients are small business. I've had some medium-sized business, have not worked in a large business as far as the estimating, but have had the pleasure to witness some of the activities and processes that large businesses do to estimate. And one of the things I found out was that some of the small businesses estimate better than the large businesses. It was an interesting fact. I mean, but one of the things that I teach is this right here: cost first, then price. And this becomes very important to my 8A clients, because one thing that you do not want to negotiate down is your cost. If your cost is your cost, it's your cost, and you defend that cost. The only thing that you really want to negotiate at the table with the Corps of Engineers or with veterans or with a prime contractor or with an owner is just how much profit you're going to have. Because the way you want to estimate is you want everything to be a direct cost as much as possible, and stop lumping everything into overhead and profit. And I'll show you why you need to do that. First, know your costs, your direct job costs. Of course, it's material, labor, subcontractor. And a lot of times, a lot of contracts have trouble with this area here, other direct costs. A lot of stress and strain on costing occurs in this area right here, other direct costs. And then you want to know your job site overhead costs. And like I said, some folks call it general conditions. This is another area where contractors have difficulty. You know, you have to have your labor burden to satisfy Uncle Sam, you know, FICA, SUDA, FUDA, all that. Your indirect labor is usually labor that's not putting in work, but our supervision for the work being done, or supervision work, indirect labor may be labor that is not direct to the installation, but helps supervision. Tools, consumables, insurance, and travel. What I found in some companies, when they find out that they're losing money, it's having trouble in those areas that I circled. Small tools and consumables, travel, and other. Because at every job you want to make a profit. How many people have made a profit on every job that they've taken? Do you know why? Do you know why you haven't made a profit on every job? We need to start doing more investigating. Because if you don't, why are you continuing to do the same things over and over and not make money? You need to make a profit on each and every job you do. And we need to find out why. And that's why I come back to this. Cost first, then price. So let's look at pricing strategy. The cost portion was the items that I had before. And this is what I talk about, and everybody rolled their head back. Estimators now need to know accounting. The competition is too close, as was stated by the gentleman with the core. You have to understand accounting, because I think if estimators and the owners get together and understand accounting, I think your cost and your pricing will be a whole lot different and a whole lot more competitive, and you win more, and you win more jobs that are profitable for you. And I use this bid chart right here, bid price structure. You have a contract price, and your contract price is broken up into the total cost and the profit. Total cost is made up of direct costs and your general administrative at the home office overhead. Direct cost is divided into work item costs and job site overhead. And work item cost is labor, material, equipment, and subs. Markup that you apply is the general and your general administrative and profit. This right here is where a lot of companies are losing money. They're not getting this right. Some are not getting this right. How do I calculate an accurate markup for my company? And this is what I'm talking about. The P&L looks like the estimator's summary. If you look at the estimator's view and the accountant's view, they're very, very similar. And they're done this way so that you can compare apples to apples and find out where you are short on your cost, where you are missing some things when you start looking at historical costs and comparing it to your estimate. I found out that a lot of companies do not do this, because when you start doing this is where you find your weak spot. It's right here. So that does look kind of similar, right? Yes. I heard some crickets chirping out there. Let's do this one quick example. We've got several examples here. Understanding risk and pricing. You have Project A, Project B, Project C. And here's the labor, materials, equipment, and other costs. And you got Project A lined up, Project B, and Project C. And each project, A, B, and C, has a total of $206,000. You apply overhead of 10%. You apply profit of 12%. And you have a total bid of $251,320. Are these projects equal? Maybe, maybe not. Right. One of the things that you would say, they're probably not equal because Project C has a lot of labor tied to it. And labor is what? it's more risky, right? So we want to be reimbursed for the risk that we take on a heavy labor job. So let's look at another way of looking at this. You got project A, project B, project C. This time, based on looking at my P&L and looking at my past jobs, I found out that my labor and equipment, my material and stuff, they're different. They act different. I manage them different. There's different risk applied. And based on that, I found where I'm short on my estimates. So what I'm doing is applying this dual overhead method. That on my labor and on my equipment, I'm going to charge 15%. On my materials, subcontract, and other, I'm going to apply 5%. On my office overhead, I'm going to apply 10%, excuse me, and profit 5%. Now, project A is bidded at $252,683, $251,320. Project B is $254,720, $251. Project C, because it's a little bit more risky with the $90,000 worth of labor, is now $260,295, where it was $251. And someone told me, said, well, I'm going to lose all my jobs. I said, it's good. Because now, if you get that, it'll be a profitable job. That's the difference between bidding on every job there is and bidding profitable jobs. When you do it this way, you should never have a losing job. Now what happens is you don't get all of them, and thank goodness that you don't get all of them, because that will impact your bottom line. Why do we lose money on projects? Because we're bidding everything. We're bidding things that we should not be bidding because it's not our competitive advantage. And that's one of the things I do as well is find out what a particular business competitive advantage is in the bidding arena, whether it's an engineering firm or construction. Let's look at another example. Usually, I'm going through this real fast. This usually is an 8-hour course, but I'm doing it in 20 minutes. Markup and margin. This is the one that a lot of people really mess up on. You have a simple profit and loss statement. And that's why I said business owners and estimators and their accountants need to come together to understand this pricing concept. Everyone's seen this. Sales less cost of goods sold, gross profit, less your overhead, net profit, okay? When your CPA or accountant do their end of quarter, end of year, they usually have this percentage of sales. And they say, oh, 28%. And I've seen a lot of contractors say, well, when I get my costs together, I'm just going to mark it up 28%. And that's wrong. In construction, you need to base your markup on your direct cost. Not on your revenue, but on cost. So when you base your markup on cost, yes, your gross profit is 20%, but if you mark it up based on direct cost, it's actually 38%. So now you can figure out why you are 10% below where you should have been. You're losing money. I've seen, now a lot of people say, you're crazy, not home about cost. I want more small businesses to be profitable. Again, this is a basic cost summary. Revenue of $700,000, labor 120,000, material 300,000, equipment, sub, and overhead and profit. When you start analyzing this, it doesn't tell you much. So when I go into a company, I said, let's start doing this, an expanded version of looking at your cost summary. Now we got the total cost that we had over here. And now we expanded this overhead and profit is now expanded. You got burden in here, you got supervision for the site and other things, and you got your gross profit and overhead. We're going to see what's made up of this $190,000 profit that you said you had. Well, it's made up of that other cost that we didn't capture up here. It's made up of labor burden and supervision and your gross profit. Now you know that of this not $193,000, $5,000 is other costs related to the job, and $115,000 is related to taking care of Uncle Sam and benefits and all of that, and your supervision and your supervision support. So, you know, not all that is profit. It's cost. A quick example, another example of easily applying this process is you estimate your labor, you estimate your equipment and material, and you subcontractors, and you use cost multipliers, especially if the type of bid is something that you usually bid in. Otherwise, you do a detail of these percentages. But once you get that direct cost, you add all those direct costs together and come up with $350,000. You see your labor is 75, and based on past history, the pay for burden is 25.93%. And there's a way to calculate that using your profit and loss and your insurance folks and all that, and your human resources. And you have $19,447 to take care of labor burden. Your job site overhead is taking your direct cost and multiplying by this percentage point, because based on past history, your job site overhead was 14.5% of your direct costs. So now you add those together, and now you got $420,000. Then your office overhead, again, it's a way to calculate that percentage, and that's 7.8 multiplied by the cost here. Add that, then you add your profit. Then you add all that together, that's your total cost. Then you add a profit to it. Again, a small business told me, well, I'm going to lose all my jobs if I do that. I said, that's good. But you won't, because you're covering all your costs. This stuff works. So, I'm going to wrap it up with this. The strategy to win more profitable work begins, understand your market and your position in that market. You know, only bid on jobs that are at your competitive advantage. What jobs are more profitable for you? That's basically what it is. What projects, what market is good for you? What projects are good for you? Make sure you have the people, and that includes subcontractors and suppliers. Make sure you understand the product and service, and then you can price it correctly and accurately. Keep up with the production so you can end up with a profit. That's my 6 P's of making money. So best practice is know your costs, understand your costs, control your costs, and always have continuous improvement. Know your costs is estimating, understanding is project management, controlling is accounting, and always have continuous improvement. On each and every job, if you do that, you have profits that are more predictable. So every job that you bid is profitable, no matter what. I'll stop there. Got 5 minutes? Anybody want to have any questions or throw tomatoes or? I have a couple of my clients are in the audience that I've helped. They won't say anything? No. Any questions? No questions? Well, thank you for your time.